Hey, this is Gerry Visca, the publisher of Defyeneurs, and welcome to the new issue, the Top 50 Health and Wellness Tips. We are super excited about the power and the energy of this publication and the lineup of world-class experts that I'm truly inspired to shine a light on. This is an exciting live interview that we include in each issue of Defyeneurs, connected to each profile. So get ready, because it's time for Wallace for Wellness, and we are live with Margaret Wallis-Duffy. Welcome, Margaret.
Good morning, Gerry. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, Margaret, I'm so excited about this time with you. You know, you're up to some amazing things, and I don't know how you find the time to achieve all the great things that you're doing in the world, but I want to get into a quote that you share in your profile, and it goes like this. My goal is to share the power of touch with all people through all stages of life, from pregnancy through to palliative care. So, Margaret, share with us, why have you chosen to serve others through health and wellness?
Well, Gerry, you know, I actually feel really lucky to be in a profession where I don't really have to wear two different hats. And what I mean by that is that who I am as a person and who I am as a professional is really not much different. And I know that what that does in terms of health and wellness is really makes me happier and healthier, because I don't have to expend different energy at two different aspects of my life. And the reason for that is that, you know, my own health story is not one, I don't look like my story. It's been a very challenging journey, to say the least. And if you had spoken to me in my, you know, my late teens and my early university days, when I was really struggling with my own health, you know, 10 surgeries, 4 bowel obstructions, a lung collapse, a fecal transplant. That's right, I had a poop transplant because I had C. difficile and almost died. And then I went through menopause at 39. It was a struggle, and while you're trying to graduate and open a business and get married and have children, and you really do wonder, why me? And, you know, it's been a gift, because in looking back, I've been able to use my story, find ways by surrounding myself with my health, with my own integrative wellness clinic, to help myself, and realizing that this all happened to me for a reason. It happened because I had the strength, the clinical experience, and now also with Wow New Media, a powerful media platform to share health and wellness education globally, to help. Hopefully, my goal is to empower, inspire, and other people to live well holistically, because by sharing real stories like my own, I hope that it resonates with others, and they realize, even though my story may be different, they can relate to it, and they can adopt some of these strategies and tips so that they too can live well.
I love it. I love it. I love how you're sharing real stories, and I just, you know, Margaret, I love your energy around, like, you've transitioned through some of the greatest challenges, and yet you still see it all as a gift, and I think that's one of the things that makes, you know, you and your work so extraordinary for the world. There's another quote that you share here, and it really ties into how you're inspiring others through health and wellness. It goes like this: I love the career I've created and the opportunity within it to coach others and share my passion for holistic health in a variety of ways. I love this passion that you put into everything that you do. So, you know, share with us a little bit more depth, these platforms and, you know, the new media. How are you inspiring others through health and wellness?
Yeah, you know, it's so funny, and I say this to my children often when they're so worried. My son's in third year university, actually going into fourth year, and you know, what am I going to do with my life? And everybody has to have a plan, and it's important to plan, and it's important to get an education, and I've done that. However, it's also important to be open, and to take risks, and to be able to follow a detour even when it's scary, and to fail forward. Because for me, if I didn't take some of these risks, so for example, I had the opportunity to be a regular guest on many of the shows, you know, City Line back in the day with Marilyn Dennis, and all the other national shows, and Breakfast TV and all of those. And I got bit by the media bug and quite loved it. And that opened a door to being a media spokesperson for some big companies. You know, Johnson & Johnson was one of them. And that opened the door for me having media training. And then that opened the opportunity for me to be asked to host a live show. And I can remember being asked and saying, sure, and then pulling over to the side of the road because I was driving at the time. I can remember it like it was yesterday, and thinking, what did I just say I would do? Like, I've never hosted a live show. I don't know how to do that. And yet, you know what? Rogers gave me the opportunity. I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And I was a sponge, and I learned how to be behind the camera and how to produce. And then, you know what? He universe sends you opportunities. So when you take risks, the universe often presents itself with other opportunities. And so it came where I had the opportunity to actually sell segments on a show, a national television show, where I would be the producer and the host, but I'd have to sell the media in order to be able to pay for the work that I was doing. And I remember saying to my lawyer, I got to get a media buying contract. And he laughed and said, of course you do. And so I took risks and I tried it. And then a lot of failure, a lot of successes, years of hard work. And it dawned on me that, this whole new world of online media, that our television was going to be in our handheld. It was going to be our iPhone. And for many years, going in to try to sell sponsorship on WOW, what was called then WOW Living TV, which was an online health and wellness destination for family, people would immediately say, well, what channel is it on? And I'd have to say, well, no, yes, it can be on broadcast because it broadcasts quality, and broadcasters like TV Kojiko have taken me under their wing and air my content because it's good, holistic health and wellness content. But I was saying, no, this can be anywhere, anytime, on demand, and it's evergreen content that can be shared globally. Like, this is even better than traditional broadcast. Not putting broadcast down because it's important, has its place, and it will never go away. And so that sort of opened the doors to me realizing, after taking an online media marketing course, this is what I needed to do. And so I spent 5 years putting a comprehensive media team together, television and camera crews and makeup artists and lighting crews and online specialists, because we, online tutorials and learning. And here we are now, 7 years later, with WOW New Media, which produces broadcast quality health and wellness content that can be shared both online, on air, and on demand. So, when we produced a show 2 years ago with Dr. Christy Prouse, who's also featured in Your Amazing magazine, this edition, we did on hormonal health. Well, the very cool thing was it was live at the time. We had 2 audiences for 3 different shows. But here we are, fast forward 2 years later, and that content that's still valuable today is being shared globally, and we still have people reaching out 2 years later saying, I've learned from watching your show. I want to share this more. And it's opening the conversation not just with the public but with other healthcare professionals. And so my job's getting easier because new media is now in the consciousness of most people.
It's extraordinary. I love it, Margaret. I love how, you're really making world-class health and wellness content accessible to the world. And, I love that you share how it's important to take risks, and you're open to that. Really opened you up to the energy of just the gifts of the universe. I think that's great. You seem to really resonate, Margaret, with the energy of Defyeneurs and this whole everyday people doing extraordinary things. So share with us, why is it important now, more than ever, for the world to really wake up to health and wellness?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'd like to say that I know exactly the answer, but I also know, just as I said previously, I always have to be open to adapting and changing to what the world needs. I think we're now in a very touch-phobic society. We're in a very 24/7 fast-paced society. And, I've been doing this for 24 years. I've owned a clinic for 24 years, and I've seen so much change over 24 years. I mean, I'm proud that my clinic's 80% doctor referral, but we're running at a high pace all the time, and it's almost like we wear this badge of honor. I'm stressed, and people think that's okay. It's just part of our everyday vernacular, and in fact, that's not what we should be shining. That's not what we should be saying is okay. Stress is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. We need stress. There's positive and negative stress. We need that to function. But to say that it's, what's going to define us is not okay. And I'm seeing the fallout of this stress in my clinic. I'm seeing the fallout in the families that come to my clinic in generations. I think the very exciting thing is that we're living longer. However, I question if we're living well. And for me, because my health has been challenged, we're here not for a long time, and I hope that while we're here, it won't just be a good time, but it'll be a healthy time. Sadly, I just lost my father in January at 88, and he was had an incredible impact on my health or my life, as well as my family. Had an incredible attitude, and despite his many health challenges, he had always the ability to see how he could see himself forward and what he needed to do proactively instead of reactively, which isn't really his generation. Usually you just reacted rather than be proactive, and I'm all about prevention. So he would embrace things that my mom and I would suggest, and he would try things. And I think that we've got an aging population. There's more people over 65 than there are 14-year-olds for the first time in history in our country. That's not going to get any different. It's in fact, with the aging population, is only going to get more here in Canada. It's staggering, actually. But we're living in a real toxic world in many ways. We're strapped for time. We don't take time to just be. We're human beings, not human doings, and yet, we're limping along, and the fallout of stress is so prevalent in all ages. Like, I'm seeing it in my clinic. It's changed. Young kids are coming in stressed, Gerry, and we need to, I think, play a role, and touch, for me, is one way to do that. It's one way to slow people down and bring them back into their body and pay attention to what their stress is doing to them, physically, emotionally, and mentally, and spiritually, and to really help to give them practical, hands-on tools to make a difference in the way they feel, and as a return on that investment, it changes families, and in my hope, it'll change society.
I love that. I'm sorry to hear about your father. I'm honored, that you share that, and it's obvious that he was very close, an influence in your life. I love that you share that you're questioning, are we living well? And I'm curious, how are you taking the time for yourself, Margaret, that, you're obviously you've got some amazing innovations on the go. How are you applying these teachings to your own life?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, and I'll tell you why, because I'm real, and I don't ever want to mislead people. I'm constantly trying to figure out this balance, too. I'm not going to stand on a pedestal and tell you I have all the answers and I do everything well, because that's not true. And I think that's why, or I hope that's why, people relate to me. I don't preach, but I do try to lead by example, try to be a thought leader, and recognize when my balance is not doing well. And I can certainly say, honestly, given all that's going on, you can't sometimes plan, especially in business, when things will take. And I've worked so hard for so long, and now I feel like I've described this analogy recently. I feel like I'm leaning so far over the cliff, looking over so far into vulnerability. I'm so ready to jump. Yet I recognize just how that's been playing its toll on me, because life happens, right? My father was sick. I'm a mother of two kids that mean the world to me, so that's important. I'm in a marriage that I need to foster and nurture, and I have a clinic that's growing and expanding. So how do I do it? Sometimes, like Sunday, which recently is Father's Day, I literally just stopped this crazy train ride, and I hung out with my kids and my husband in our backyard, floated around in the pool, watching the Jays game, and had family over for dinner, and literally just stopped the world from spinning. And maybe it was only for a day, but I have to tell you, the difference that I felt emotionally and mentally, and our family talked about it. We're very open about things like that. We're not ones to deny what exists. We've been on a fast-paced journey, especially with all that life has thrown at us the last 6 months, and we have to recognize sometimes when we're not doing a good job of balancing. And so even that, that weekend, because we had a friend's 25th anniversary on Saturday night we all went to, and we were all just being together. So it wasn't a big flourish. I didn't have to go on this big trip and holiday, although I love to travel, and that's great. Sometimes it's the simple things in life, is to simply just slow down, spend time with one another, and just be. And so for me, that's what I try to do, and I try to, surround myself with the people I care about. I'm fortunate, as I said at the beginning of our conversation, to love what I do. So there's not a big disconnect between who I am and what I do. So I feel very fortunate every day that for the most part, I really get I get a big kick out of what I do. It's very rewarding, and I know I don't take that for granted, Gerry. That's not typical. I know that. But I try to help people recognize, and I say this to my kids all the time. I mean, who said that as a massage therapist I'm going to be a television talk show host? And I love your quote, says, why, what's your why? And I always say, well, why not? Like, just, you can graduate with 1 degree, but why not if you have a passion? We're diverse people. So tap into the diversity that you have within and take some risks, and then be honest with yourself and slow this crazy train down occasionally, so that you can just take time to be mindful of where you're at and what you're doing, And I'm just like everyone else. Sometimes I have to remind myself or have my family remind me.
I love that. Margaret, I love your real authenticity. And I think that's what makes, wellness for wellness so profound is this real authenticity. And I think it's extraordinary. Margaret, I want to get into a final kind of legacy question with you. And, you're making a tremendous difference in the world, and you've reinvented yourself, and, you constantly have this vision for bettering yourself and bettering the world. And I truly believe that you're one of the, you're a world-class innovator in this health and wellness space. I want you to think about, years from now, you speak of your 2 kids and your family, and I think that's amazing. What would you want them to say about you? How did Margaret Wallis-Duffy live her life?
Wow, it's a big question. You know what? I think I hope to be remembered as a thought leader, especially in the massage therapy profession. I want to be known for taking risks and finding innovative ways to work with others to improve, the holistic health and well-being of all people. I really hope, more importantly, that people see me. One of my favorite quotes is, and it's on the waiting room wall in my clinic, "Attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching?" Good or bad attitude. I say this to my kids. It's your choice. And I hope that people look back on me and say, she had a really good attitude that was contagious. And I've had the honor of mentoring others while also being mentored myself. So I'm really hoping that they look back and say she was a mentor for our profession, and really helped to move it forward and to really encourage all professions in this health and wellness place to work together. I hate the word alternative medicine. It's not me and them, us versus them. It's collaborative. It's complementary, and that's really important. But most importantly, I want to be remembered, as a loving wife, a mom, a daughter, and a friend who really did her best in trying to nurture healthy relationships, because at the end of the day, relationships are what matter most to me, and whether it's professionally or personally, because as my parents taught me, your integrity is something that no one can take from you if you nurture it. And so I hope that's what people look back on, it, that I made an impression and that I inspired others to carry the torch. And that's why I want to be so active in the massage therapy community, because I really want other massage therapists. I'm not special, Gerry. I'm not. I'm just taking risks and loving what I do, and I want to inspire other people in the massage therapy profession and other professions to really unleash that inner excitement for what they're doing, to bring their own flair to it, because everybody has something to offer, and I'm learning from people ahead of me and behind me. Some of my team that are younger than me, most of them are now. I'm learning from them, and so I hope that's what I'm remembered as somebody that loved to learn and loved to help others.
It's extraordinary. The world is truly helped by you, Margaret. I love it. I call this profile The Power of Touch. It's pages 26 and 27 in Defyeneurs, the top 50 health and wellness tips. On behalf of everyday people doing extraordinary things, Margaret, I just want to thank you for sharing your amazing gifts with the world and being a part of this extraordinary energy. Thank you.
Oh, Gerry, thank you for the opportunity. It truly has been an interesting journey. To answer the questions that you've asked and to really think about it is not something you do every day, and it's been kind of been a neat experience for me to put it into real words, what I feel and try to do every day. So, and thank you and Defyeneurs for shedding a light on real people doing real awesome things that we can all learn from. We need more of that in the world.